All right, welcome to everyone. We are live for another fun pro networking event here. This is session 7, Finding and Working with Mentors. This is one of our now bi-weekly live broadcasts you guys can catch over at echomeansbusiness.com. Free to watch, free with your membership. All you got to do is log in and watch all the amazing advice that's shared in tonight's episode, which will be available at later dates, and all the previous live ones. And then we've got a whole bunch more upcoming. Very, very interesting. Definitely worth looking forward to. So I'm Mike Bedell, and I'm a member of Echo's User Advisory Group. I'll be your moderator for tonight's session. And I've got a panel of industry pros tonight who a lot of knowledge here. We've got Randy Dulin, Nick Carlson, Mike Bevern, Dulin Stephenson, and if we can maybe get through some technical difficulties, looks like we might even have one more guy join in. Oh, looks like he's on here, Ricky Alvarez. All right, good stuff. Perfect. So that's our group tonight, and I'll tell you what. This whole thing came from another thing we're doing over at Echo Means Business, which is a little Meet the Pros series, and that's where we find out a little bit more about who each of us are. And when I was chatting with the moderator, we were talking about mentorship, and we realized it'd be a great thing to expand and extrapolate off of. So in that, yeah, it's always good to know where you are and where you're going. So in turn, let's go ahead and have everybody that's on tonight's chat here just introduce themselves, tell everyone where you're located, how long you've been doing what you're doing, and maybe like just a quick minute or two. That way, if somebody isn't familiar with who you are, they can get a little better understanding and maybe help grow their context. That way, maybe the rest of what we talk about tonight makes a little bit more sense. So we'll do what we used to do in elementary school when we wanted to pass reading around the room, and I'll go popcorn Dulin Stephenson to introduce himself tonight. So go ahead, Dulin, tell everyone who you are and what you got going on.
My name is Dulin Stephenson with Solo Cuts Landscaping. We're a landscape company based here in Springfield, Ohio. We've been in business officially for going on 6 years now, but we've actually only been full-time for the last 2. So we've had a pretty big transition here recently. So I'm excited to be part of this group. This topic specifically kind of really hits home with what has kind of helped me progress through my time. So I'm excited to have this conversation, and hopefully we can bring some value to our audience today.
All right, Dulin, you didn't popcorn to someone else. You got to popcorn to the next speaker.
Next one, I'm gonna forward it over there to Nick Carlson, sitting over there by the fire.
Hey guys, Nick Carlson from Annapolis, Maryland. That's where I'm from. Live in Crownsville, Maryland now. Owner of Dulin Manufacturing, home of the mulch mate, and apparently now the cart mate is blowing up, so got to call that. Was in landscaping for a very long time, since 2000. Been through September 11th crash, the 2008 crash, and somehow made it out the other end and grew a very successful landscape business. Was eventually able to sell it. And one of the whole mentor thing here is huge for me as well, like Dulin was saying. So, you know, I've had mentors, my father, number one, and then some of my customers turned into mentors, life coaches, just a lot of really good people in my life. So very, very fortunate. I guess I'll kick it off to, I think it's Mike. I can't see it in the screen anymore.
Thanks, man. Mike Von Bevern, owner-operator, Glendale Landscapes in Horseheads, New York, upstate New York, the more rural part of New York, if you will, not New York City. Anyway, this is year 17, but really the last 5 have been full-time. Before that, it was pretty much part-time. We're a design build, landscape design build install company, landscape maintenance, and then getting into the snow and ice game pretty heavy. So that's almost half of our revenue right now. So looking forward to it. Who do we kick it off to now? EMB Lawn Service. I'll give it to him.
Perfect. Oh no, it looks like maybe he's having a little bit of technical issues there. I know I've had a few myself tonight, so we apologize for that. You know, it's the new world we're all living in. Technology sometimes makes things a little tough, and we're all doing the best that we're working with here, and we got to work with, I should say. So, all right. Well, if we get give Ricky a chance to introduce himself, and maybe we get Randy back on this call, we'll give them a minute to introduce themselves, build a little context here. But if not, oh, looks like maybe we do have Randy. Randy, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I think we can. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and just tell everyone who you are and what you got going on, and if we can hear you, then we'll run with it.
Sure. So I'm Randy with Dulin Cut and Trim, a member of the Echo User Advisory Group, and I run Dulin Cut and Trim. I've been in the lawn business since 2015, full time since 2016. And interestingly enough, I don't know what you guys have been talking about since I've been dealing with all the internet stuff. But Nick Carlson was actually the guy that mentored me when I first got in the business.
Mike, we can't hear you, buddy, but thank you, Randy. I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there you go. Perfect. I think we got you back. Cool. All right. And it looks like we got Ricky back on the call. So if you want, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you got going on.
My name is Ricky Alvarez. I'm from the San Marcos, Kyle area. Like everybody's saying, this is a good talk here to not just to get different ideas from y'all, but to teach the people that want to get into the business that are scared or don't know who to talk to or how to start off, how to do it, like pretty much anything. But yeah, that's all I got.
No, perfect. Yeah, no, it's certainly this is an important topic for people that are getting started, or even people that have been in the industry a long time. I think that's one of the key differentiators is the people that are successful in anything they do. Take the time to invest in themselves and spend some time growing their knowledge. So with that being the case, I wanted to open up first question to everybody if they can hear me all right. And that was, assuming that we've all had different mentors, and I think we have because we're on the call here, how has having a mentor helped you in your professional growth? We'll start with Dulin here.
All right, so having a mentor has not been more valuable until I really went full time, because it was nice when I was part time to, chatted with Nick Carlson right there, Mr. Mike Bedell here on the screen. So they know a lot about my progression from when I was just part time, trying to get this thing to go full time to now full time. But directly this past year, though, even just networking and getting a mentor here in my local area has been so impactful, not only just for like possibly even throwing some work my way, but just bouncing ideas off of them on, investments that we're looking to get into, which direction we want to go, what is a good direction to lead into. Because I feel like as especially newer into the business, you only know so much. So like you want to try and do as much as you can on your own and try and tackle this beast on your own and figure it out. But that only gets you, I feel like, so far to where you need to bounce ideas off of or reach out to someone that, maybe you see their company, you're like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to get to that level, or how does someone get from where I am? Because everyone started in this position and has taken it to whatever level they have. So to be able to talk with that person and be able to just bounce ideas off of. I think it's almost like a necessity. So here this past year, like I said, we went full time, and because of who I networked with and mentored, or got mentored by, I would say, has led into work. It has led into just, like I said, a full line of communication with anything we're doing. So I just think it's just there's so much you could cover in it, but I think it's just a big, powerful thing to definitely go with.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. You can kind of learn by skinning your own knee, or you can learn from others that have skinned their knee first. And I think that's an excellent point. And one of the great values to having a mentor is they could save you a lot of wasted time and heartache. And since this is a business, lost revenue and all the terrible things that can come with that, it could really send you spiraling. And sometimes having a short conversation to a series of conversations and building a relationship can pay dividends on that, let alone, like you mentioned, Dylan, actually being able to partner up with that mentor and have it turn into a profitable working relationship. Mike von Bevern, have you found that to be the same as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it takes a village, right? I mean, I think they say that in a lot of things in life, but there's no sense in recreating the wheel. Chances are there's someone that's been through it, that's made the mistakes, that's, frankly, just doesn't want to see anyone else have that kind of heartache again. So I think, you can find mentors in a variety of different places. I think you can find them locally. 2021, you and I talk a lot. We're several states away and stuff. So I think having a mix of both is really important. And I think probably what I found most beneficial after kind of picking and choosing bits of advice from different people is, if you have the opportunity to find someone that's a couple more years into the game than you are, for me, one of my mentors is probably on year 25. All right. So they have a couple of years of wisdom on me. And, they've scaled up, scaled down, scaled back up. And kind of the lessons that they've learned to pass on to me have been just invaluable. It's almost like a springboard that just shoots you forward. But you got to be receptive to it. I mean, you want to evaluate all the advice that you get. Not all of it's going to work for you, but you ultimately, you need to have your ears open instead of approaching the conversation and giving all your excuses or all your, well, I can't do this or I can't do that type deal. I think a lot of times if you just sit down and let someone else talk for an hour and just be as quiet as possible. I mean, that's been some of the best interactions I've gotten, taking someone out to grab something to eat, brunch, lunch, something like that. And just let them talk, don't necessarily ask any questions, just hear what they have to say.
That is an excellent point, Mike, that, it's one thing to take a step in and spend some time with the mentor, but you really touched on one of the most important parts is we have to be receptive to what they're saying and listen to it and really digest it, because otherwise it's just open-ended advice and may not actually produce great results, even if it is in fact very, very good advice. So Nick, I'm sure you've got all sorts to add on this between your time in the landscape industry, actually working out, providing services in the field, and now providing awesome equipment to people who provide services in the field. So I'm sure you have a whole host of things to say on this.
I'm sitting here listening to everybody, and it's interesting. I'm kind of going through all these stories and all these different interactions I've had over the last 2 decades of being in the business, and simple interactions like Randy and I have been friends since, gosh, 5th grade, I think. And, we had an interaction long time ago, and it seems to have really helped him, which has been amazing to watch him grow. And it's been amazing. And I'm so thankful to even have the friendship there is amazing. But I've had huge mentors, starting with my father. He's been a huge mentor of mine growing up. My psychological coach, business coach, and he was just a copier guy. So it was nice to have that. I'm very fortunate to have that. Very little family, but that is the one big part. But I've had people in my life step in out of nowhere. People that just became almost like life coaches on accident. And it all just stemmed from having an open and honest, really just straightforward attitude with people, and just ask simple questions. And a lot of like what Mike said, just sit down, shut your mouth, and listen to what these people have to say. Their life experiences are worth more money than you'll ever make. You just never know what trouble to keep you out of. You never know what kind of money it can bring you, or time, or just simple joy and peace. All those things are just priceless items that you can never purchase. And it all comes from sitting down and listening to a group of guys like this. You just never know where you're going to pull, a golden nugget from.
Yeah, really great points there. Your network really is your net worth, right? And the more touch points you have, the more people that are playing on your team, the further that you'll go. I mean, I think I touched on it once. If you look at the people who are truly successful inside and outside of the industry, it's not just them and their efforts alone. It's all the people you see and don't see, like Nick just touched on. Having coaching in all phases of life, even working on the mind game of things, and all the head trash that we have to deal with being as entrepreneurs. I know I was chatting with someone earlier today about the fun of entrepreneurial bipolarism, where we can have these high highs and low lows, and it's good mentors that will help us work through that. So you touched on that you and Randy are friends. Let's see if we got enough stream connectivity out of Randy to maybe get that story on how you guys first met out of Randy there.
So you guys able to hear me okay? Okay, good. So yeah, Nick and I actually met. We went to the same school. I actually know Nick as Nick, the basketball player, not the race car guy. And so we actually, we went to high school together. I think until either 10th or 11th grade. I don't remember. And then we were. I didn't see Nick for a couple years. And I went over and said hi to him. I was like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And asked him what he was up to, what he was doing, and he said, "Oh, I run a lawn care business." And at the time, I had just started my part-time business, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the lawn care business too." Nick's doing however many millions of dollars he's doing, and I'm doing all the tens of dollars that I'm doing. And so we kind of reconnected after that, like connected on Facebook, and then towards the end of that season, it was like the one year I was part-time. Nick reached out to me about doing some snow removal with him, or doing like residential snow removal, because he didn't really want to do that. And I said, well, sure, but I don't really know anything about that part of the business. And so he said, well, let's meet up. And so we had about a 3.5-hour meeting where Nick realized I had no idea what I was doing with anything. And basically, he tore my business apart, told me everything I was doing wrong, which was everything, and told me what I should do. He gave me a book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, said you should read this, which I did several times. And then, ironically, 3 months later, I went full time in the business. Just basically messaging Nick on Facebook, 5 or 6 times a day. What do I do there? Here. What do I do here? What do I do here?
Cool. Well, that's a fun story. That's great that you met him as Nick, the basketball player. I can see that. I've had the privilege of standing next to Nick at a couple events like GIE, and he's quite the tall guy. If I were playing a pickup basketball game with the guys that you see on the screens right now, and I got first pick, I'd probably be picking Nick. I'm just saying. I don't know. Dylan probably has some serious game. I've never seen Ricky play. Mike, I would totally have like somebody to like pick and roll with. But like, if Nick was on my team, the plan is just get the ball to Nick, I think. So that's awesome.
I'll
All
grab
right,
the
Rick,
water, Mike.
oh wow, okay. Awesome. All right, Ricky, let's see if we've got enough internet out of you to get this question answered. And how has having a mentor helped you with your professional growth?
I mean, it took my business to the next level, big time. I mean, my mentor is with AJ's Lawn Care. He's been in this for a while, so he went through everything I'm going through right now. So he kind of like, if something came up, he'll tell me, step back, look at it, and then go look at it again, write it down, and then that's how you go through every jobs. It just makes it easier having him there, you know? And then before I met him, I used to just mow. He got me into trimming, doing landscaping, putting down grass. You know, that's just the next level of the business side. So he helped it a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, having a good mentor can steer you on to not only the little things you're doing wrong, but maybe, like you said, some services that I'm guessing maybe probably provide some additional revenue, maybe are a little bit more profitable for you. Cool. Great. All right. Perfect. Well, I guess this is another kind of open question. Maybe we'll start with Mike von Bevern on this one. What are some ways that you have sought out and found different mentors throughout your time in this industry?
Geez, I could probably talk on that for a while, but when I was looking to gain momentum and go full time, I kind of realized that I had a knowledge gap. We started off just like anyone else, mow, trim, blow. And that was great for a part-time gig, for some side cash in addition to a regular job. But although I enjoyed it, I always liked doing the landscaping. I just never really had the confidence initially to go out and sell a landscape job. So we kind of broke it out, doing some mulch work and trimming and pruning and stuff. And, I knew I had to learn more about plants. And I'm like, how am I going to learn more about plants? So literally, I just walked into the local supply house, and I still remember this to this day. I walked back to the commercial counter and I said, hey, my name's Mike. I have this little tiny landscaping company. It's really not a big deal. We just kind of mow lawns, but I want to try to get into some other work. Can I open an account here? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then, I just a lot of times would just stop in there and chit chat. I think before we started doing landscape installs, I think we broke out kind of with seed work. I think we did core aeration and overseeding one fall, and then we started kind of reclimating some lawns where people had like septic work done. So then I was in there a bunch buying grass seed, and I was asking questions about grass seed. And then next thing you know, I'm, saying, hey, I'm looking to, get into doing some landscape work and some installs and stuff. And they said, well, why don't you start with enhancements? Why don't you take your lawn customers and why don't you just start with some basic stuff and try to just enhance their landscape? So it was nerve wracking. I mean, going in there, I felt like a nobody, but surprisingly, they were happy to help. They were happy to get me going. They were happy to have me as a client. And then it was it's a local business, but it's comparable to a Site One. It's just independently run. And they said, hey, you need to go across town and see this Scott guy. He runs a retail nursery, he always has leads on work. He used to do landscaping, but he doesn't have the manpower anymore. He's looking for someone to feed install work to. So got in the truck, went over there, didn't know this guy from Adam. You know, I just walked up to him and said, hey, you know, Mike, Banfield Baker sent me over here, said that, you know a lot about plants and you're looking for someone to install them. And, you know, we chit-chatted and stuff, and he started me off. He's like, yeah, he goes, I got a bunch of trees that have to be installed and stuff. He started giving out my name, and I didn't realize what he was doing. I think he was probably testing me at the time. We started off with something simple. He'd send me out with a couple arbs or, you know, onesie, twosie trees and plant them. And then I didn't know, but he was actually going back and seeing how I installed them and stuff and checking my work. Then the next year he started, you know, feeding me some install work. And from there I made some other connections, and then here we are now. I mean, we're, you know, other than my lawn, my parents' lawn, that's the only thing that we're mowing. And we're really not even doing too much, just one-off trim jobs. Most of the stuff is landscape enhancement, and we'll do maintenance for people that we've done a lot of work for, you know, because we want to stay on that property. We don't want someone else coming in and kind of swooping in on the enhancement work. So yeah, I can't even think of the words to describe it. I think you just got to take that leap and, you know, just be humble and just be like, hey, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I want to learn. I can work hard. I don't got all the knowledge, but, you know, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. I want to get into this. And you'd be surprised when you're authentic and you're legitimate, people see that, and then you become their guy, because they see your drive, they see your passion and stuff, and they're like, well, I'm going to give the work to Mike because I know he actually gives a blank, you know, as opposed to feeding it to the guy that's all about just turning and burning cash. And there's plenty of landscapers all over the place that they think they're making a lot of money, but really all they're doing is they're just money in, money out, money in, money out, and they're just driving volume and stuff, and they don't really have that desire to do high quality work. So, I mean, if you always do a good job and you drive quality, and quality is the bottom line, once you get over those first 1 or 2, 3 years, after that, you won't really have to worry about anything else, because your name will just speak, and you'll have more work than you can even do. So, yeah. And then it's time to find someone else that has that same drive and pass it on for your overflow stuff once you're at capacity.
Those are great points. I know we had a question on the screen there. What are some ways to find mentors? And that was kind of a great one. Is you know, start out with the supplier, or you know, pick their brain. They're there more to just sell you products or sell you plant material. They certainly not only could give you work, but most likely, if they've been doing it a long time, they are happy to steer you in the right direction. So I think those are some great answers for that. Dylan, you look like you got something to add. Let's have you chime in on this.
What's the direct question right there for this one? I don't. How can I follow him up?
Dave Chappelle line where it's like, yeah, that was a tragedy. Can you repeat?
Yeah, what he said.
It was, what are some ways you've sought out and found mentors? Sorry about that. I should have teed that up.
No, you're good. Really, it was just kind of getting out of your comfort zone and just being vulnerable. I think he kind of touched on that. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to, is just knowing, like, you don't know it all. And the guy, whoever you're seeking out for, they're in your same boat at one particular time, you know, and I'm sure they had a mentor in front of them. So, so just getting out and reaching out, like, even just, you know, well, something simple as I was at GIE and Nick Carlson happened to end up having a product. I was like, hey, you mind we just shoot a video over this? I got a 300 subscriber YouTube channel, but cool. You know what I mean? At the time. So, and then next thing you know, like, I think that night he ended up giving me his number. And we've kind of just touched base since. And then every year, every time we get to meet each other or see each other, we're always just chit chatting back and forth, me more or less picking his brain about whatever. But like I said, just peeling back the layer and just like being accepting to like what someone has to tell you. Now, not everyone's going to have the greatest news. So, or not news, but greatest info for you. So you do need to consider that. But yeah, just just know like you're not the only one that has started into the position you're in. And the more you reach out, the more you get to network with folks in your direct area. I mean, you'll just learn so much. Efficiencies, like that's the biggest thing that I've picked up on from, I would say like my top 3 is just small things that you wouldn't even think about of being efficient, which is then going to drive your, drive your production up, which is going to be more money coming in or whatever. There's just simple things that you would never think about would make a big difference. And then you see it happening or you try it and you're like, why did I not do this from the beginning? Like, this is such a simple idea. Why did I not do this from the beginning? But it's the same thing. If you don't know what you don't know. So just reach out. Most people that I met, or especially like here in my area, like they're super humble. They're great folks. And they're more than willing to help you out because just like for the guys in my area, like they helped me out, answering questions, whatever. The next thing you know, when it came winter time, like they was giving me a call, asking if I could hit lots for them, hit sites for them. So, I mean, it's a partnership that you're building. And don't think of everyone as competition. Okay. That's probably the biggest thing is they may be in your direct area, but they could be going after a totally different market. Okay. Like I'm year 6 in this, the guy that I'm talking with, they could be year 10, year 15, year 20. They could be doing all commercial. They don't care that about residential, which is what you're doing, say that's your deal. So like, don't think of them as competition because they could be going for a totally different market. They have a different game plan on what they're doing. And even if they are in the same market, there's more work to go around than anything. So don't think of them as competition. Think of them as help. And I think that'll go a long ways.
Really, really good answers there. I totally agree with everything you just said. It's there's no reason, especially given the economic conditions right now that so many of us are facing, where there's like it seems like more work than ever and not enough people to help get it done. And the more everyone can all kind of work together and all play to our strengths, I think that's a great way to overcome any adversity. And the end of the day, we see it in sports all the time. The teams that play to their strengths are the teams that are successful. So the more that we can all do that as a community, and that's the beauty of Echo Bean's business, is that we have this wonderful community where everyone's really playing on the same team, whether you're in the same market or not. We can use each other as a sounding board or to feed work. I saw on the screen there, Money making like G fed a couple of yards to somebody this week. And I know I was telling my girlfriend when we were eating dinner the other night that I feel like this year I get as many calls from other contractors in my market trying to hand off work or figure out how to get work done as I do leads from new people just calling our phone number because it's out there. And it's very interesting. Typically lots of customers calling in the spring once you're an established business, but it's kind of nice. It gives me hope for the future that so many people want to continue to work together and see that as a profitable and worthwhile investment and trajectory for their company. So, Nick, I'm sure you've just got all sorts of things on this, given your history. So, what are some ways that you've sought out and found mentors, and maybe share a little nugget story for everyone about maybe how that was like something that use the overused phrase was a game changer for you.
So first, I'd like to admit my faults, and this is actually one of those areas where I fell really short in the first decade of my career. I didn't seek enough mentorship. I didn't seek just enough help. I just figured, well, I'll be a bull with big old horns, and I'll just smash my way through this. Just kind of my personality. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. And I learned it probably way too late. So I'm probably kind of behind the 8 ball on this one. But once I got a hold of it and understood, how much value it could really bring without being just a leech, a bloodsucker, I learned how to go after it. And the way I went after it was simply, it was the most simple concept, at least for me, was just go find the guy that you want to be like, right? And so to kind of be right now, I'm really honestly looking at Ed Wright. I mean, that man, yeah, he's young and his dad is, pumped that business up and he's taking it to the next level. But right now, That's who I'm aiming at. Not to take him out, but to be a lot like. I think he's doing an amazing job. I think his company is strong. I think he's got a great business. And there's somebody beyond him that I'm not even going to mention yet because I don't like to share too many goals. But there are some pretty lofty things that I'm, shooting towards. And right now for me, that's who it is. Another way that I had found really great mentors, and I'm very fortunate to live in an area that has a lot of people, a lot of influential people. But I would go to some of the biggest, richest customers I had and just sit down and go, how? How did you get here? What is it do you do? Like I have a friend of mine, his name is Ed Cove. He owns a glass company, does commercial glass installation. Has nothing to do with landscaping. And I just sat him down one night and bought him a drink and said, hey, dude, talk to me. Just start talking. I'll pick up on something. Somewhere I'll grab something. And so I have this infatuation for business and just the navigation through it all. And loving the process is more important than loving the finish line because, in my opinion, there isn't a finish line. It's constantly moving. And if you're really trying to push forward, it should move, right? And so I'll just keep finding these people and I'll grab a nugget here and a nugget there and a nugget there. And it could be from somebody that's not even at my level. It could be below where I'm at or just not even in my realm. But you pick up on these little attitude quirks and these mental games they may play with themselves. And it shows a strength. Every way you move your hands and your arms and your feet and the way you walk and the way you talk and the way you just don't judge someone. Like Dylan was saying earlier, he's like, oh, you didn't judge me. I only had like 300 subscribers. I didn't know that. Still don't know that today. Tonight's the first time I ever thought of it or knew of it. It didn't matter to me. I just said, great guy, good attitude, worth my time, right? And that's just the way I've approached my life, and it's proven to be very successful. And I believe that if you're as honest with yourself in the end of the day, if you're just as honest and at peace with yourself with the clearest mind that you could possibly have, you can see through all the riffraff and the trash, and that's going to make you very, very successful. And that's just kind of been my approach. So that's my view.
Really, really great points there. I think, there's something you said there really struck a chord with me that I know is true in some of the mentorship that I've received over the years. Is like I at times I was in a spot that makes Dylan look like a rock star in terms of like I was like a high school kid or some kid in college that hadn't done anything and hardly had any money to his name, but there were people in my life that saw through that and saw the potential in someone. And I think that that's the key, is you don't have to be a rock star necessarily to hang out with the rock star. If someone's really, if that said rock star is really interested in mentoring people and giving back, at the end of the day, they just want to spend time with people who give a rip and have some potential and are passionate. And those are the people that, and Nick, that was a great example you shared about Dylan. Like, it didn't matter that Dylan was big or small or the size of his company. You could tell that passion, much like I can tell the passion when I talk to Dylan. And when you get around people like that, it's really easy as a mentor to open up and share, because you could tell someone's going to do something with this knowledge. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to be proud of their successes. And I think that's part of the cool legacy that a lot of us get to live and lead and maybe leave behind as we all get older and grayer than I am now. Is the fact that we built this community and we're all willing to help each other and hop on things like this on a busy Thursday night in the middle of the spring rush and spend time pouring into each other. And that's something I don't think we realize is how forever this is all going to be. Like Nick's daughter was on before we hopped on the call, and like her children or her great grandchildren are going to be able to see all this stuff. All what we're doing on the internet is forever, and all these little golden nuggets that are being left, they're not only helpful to people today that are on this call, they're forever on echomeansbusiness.com and however this will live on until maybe the internet goes away, but that'll probably never happen based on today's society. So one last kind of quirky question here, and then maybe I'll open it up in case anybody else has anything they want to add. But are there any mentorship pitfalls you guys have found that you've come across, or maybe you want to share with people that obviously everyone that's going to watch this is going to feel inspired to go find a mentor, or maybe interact with a mentor that they've had even more. But any pitfalls or things that people need to look out for? Mike, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think for my the biggest pitfall that I ran into, and I really beat myself up on it for a while, is everyone's at different places. So the way that person X went about growing, scaling, and getting to a certain point, you may not have those same avenues that are available to you. I mean, people have all sorts of different challenges in front of them. I'm getting to the point now locally where some people are reaching out to me, and things like credit and the ability to get accounts places and things like that. So those are roadblocks for some people. They're probably for the better, but by not financing. But I digress. That's something else. But yeah, I think sometimes you get hung up where you saw how someone scaled and grew, and you think that that's the only way to do it. There's multiple ways to get there. You just got to kind of take the nuggets of the process to talk on, like what Nick said. That's what this is all about, is just enjoying the process. There is no finish line. So if you get the nuggets from them, and then you can build your own process and go from there.
Yeah, that's great points. Not everything they say is like a written law. You got to kind of glean the nuggets that apply to your situation, and then apply those, and then move on, and realize that there's going to be differences between what you guys are doing, and that's okay. That's part of what makes the world go around. How about you, Dylan? Any pitfalls to look out for?
Mine kind of runs along the lines with that. I know for myself, when you reach someone, they're going to tell you how they went about doing something and what they recommend. But a lot of it, though, also depends on, like, you can take as much information in as you want, and you can process it how you want, but it ultimately is going to boil down to what you think is best for what you have going on, because you ultimately know what direction you want to go. So, whether it's what type of equipment you're wanting to invest into, or, which route, what areas you're wanting to work in your business, whatever, you ultimately have to make that decision on your own. Because I know for something for myself, that was something like, it seemed like kind of each idea I kind of had, I'd shoot it by him. And then granted, he would give me like this narrative of like his thoughts and opinions on it. And sometimes it wasn't what I wanted to hear, but that's good, because I don't want someone to tell me what I want to hear, because then they're just kind of babying me along. But there are times there where you do have to ultimately like make that decision on your own, because directly the situation you're in, and like he said, they may have had a different path starting off than you do, but I think it's just you just need to dissect what you're getting from that, and then just ultimately, it's up to you to make the decision. And not every decision you make is going to be great, but I think I know the decisions I haven't made that were the best are the ones where you learn the most from. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. I know we mentioned earlier on the call that it's great to try and learn from others who've skinned their knee rather than skinning your own. But I agree, from my personal experience, I tend to learn a lot more when I screw up rather than just hearing about how others have screwed up. That could certainly save some time and money and effort, but when I screw up, I certainly ruminate on that. That's for sure. Nick, how about you? Any pitfalls that you've come across, or anything to share with us?
There's a lot of people in this world that have a lot of good to offer. But unfortunately, with the good comes the bad. And I've noticed that you have to be very careful with certain type of people that want to take advantage of the guys that are up and coming. And it's, I guess being that I've been in the business as long as I have been, I can pick up on it really quickly. But you have to be. There's a saying, keep your enemies friends close, enemies closer, kind of thing. And the reason is you want to be close to the people that can hurt you, just so you know that, okay, that guy, let's just be careful with that guy. Let's just kind of keep him in our distance. And the only way you can figure that out is to get close for a moment, and then, sorry, but you have to make a judgment. We all make judgments every single day. It's what, as entrepreneurs, we're making decisions, every moment of every single day. And, mentors, that you could pretty quickly find out who really truly wants to help. I wish Randy was on here, because him and I have story after story after story helping each other. He's helped me plow. I've helped him, help build his business. He's mowed grass for me. He jumped on one of my 60-inch grandstand Toros one day. Never stood on one in his life, and his eyes were like this big. And he had never ridden anything like that. But him and I have gone back and forth, and you could tell that the relationship was mutual. Both gave as much as both received, and at the end of the day, you'll feel the balance of the giving and the taking. And my personal opinion is, give as much as you can, because you never know, what's going to come full circle back to you. I'll be honest. I spent a decade wondering, when the heck is my good karma coming back? Because I have poured my guts into my businesses and all the people that I surround myself with, all my suppliers. And then one day it just started coming back, and you're not in control of that. There's a greater power that's in control of that. So you might as well just invest into it, because it will come back, as long as you keep a very clean, honest soul and a clean mind.
Yeah, that's great advice. You kind of just to get the most out of the experience, you really got to be who you are, and not try and, like, I know we caught little bits of what Randy said before his connection kind of dropped out on us, but one of the things he said was like, oh yeah, I cut a lot of grass too. I'm a big guy, and like, that's maybe not the best way to start that relationship, because that's not maybe what a mentor's looking for out of a mentee. They're looking for someone who's open and honest, like Mike was kind of saying earlier about how, hey, I'm new at this. I don't really know, like, what seed should I be using? Those type of things. People want to work with people that might actually be receptive to what they want to say. So that's very, very good advice. Very, very good advice. And I agree. It's not a bad idea to keep enemies close. Even though there's very few enemies in this industry these days. Everyone's pretty good people, but everyone's got their individual feelings about everyone. You can never take away trauma. I think if trauma goes away, humans go away, right? So
for sure.
Right,
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just a little life experience. So I was getting ready to go into a different racing series. I race in some stock cars, and something I learned a long time ago with that was, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't go in and just go, oh, I'm an idiot. I went in and said, hey, I kind of make fun of it. I say, hey, learn me something about what it is you're doing, and let the people tell you, because most people want to prove how much they do know. And they're willing to share it because they work really hard on it. So don't be afraid to just walk in the room and say, hey, I'm not the smartest guy, but I am willing to learn, and I'm willing to be a sponge.
Yeah, that is a great point. I think a lot of us have some level of nerdiness, no matter what it is. It can be something cool like race cars, or it could be like soils and fertilizers for me, or something like that, which obviously a little less cool, a little more nerdy. So yeah, either way, whether they're cool or not cool, I agree. We all, like, given the moment, like, if someone wants to talk about soil horizons and phosphorus and stuff like that, yeah, we can chat all night. Let's go get a beer and let's chat about fertilizers. Like, that sounds fun to me, but I know my girlfriend would rather stay home because it's not fun to her. So yeah, I think that you make a great point there, that You kind of by having that correct mindset and attitude, it really sets the right framework and ground for developing that good mentorship, where someone feels like they can really pour into you, and you might actually care about all the nerdy little intricate things that they do that makes them awesome. You're right. People that are really into any sort of craft or whatever it is, they spent all that time. They'd love to share it with someone. So on that note, is there anything that you guys would love to share with all of us before we kind of wrap this one up for the night?
I'll go if that's okay. All right. So something that I kind of harp on, and if you've ever met me, and Dylan probably will attest to this, possibly, I don't know. I'm a humongous believer in the mental game and getting your head right and keeping it straight, and the mental, just different cues that the brain will pick up on. Study things like different colors and traits. Pick up on things like, what your competition's doing in your market, not necessarily to try to beat them, but to understand where they're lacking, where there's a space to fill, where there's money to be made. And if you're doing your job right, the money will just come. And so, pick out things such as, like, when I used to, logo my trucks and all that, I wouldn't look at the local guy and say, oh, I'm gonna try to beat that guy. I would look at Brightview. I would look at Davy Tree. I would look at one of the huge local companies is Level Green. I think they have like 17 locations, and how they lettered their trucks and how they manage their people and what everything looked like. And I would sit back and study. So sit back, study what your competition's doing, understand what they're doing, not because you hate them, not because you want to beat them up and take them down and put them out of business. It's not what it's about. Understand where they're weak and where you can make it stronger, and then where you can add to where the empty spots in your markets. And then if you can fill those, you'll be successful.
Great nuggets there. Great nuggets. Mike, how about you? Any last little tidbit you want to add here?
Yeah. I think sometimes the best advice may even come from outside of our industry. Some of the best business advice that's been given to me came from someone who's not even in landscaping. Guy's a fence contractor, never did a landscaping a day in his life. And, some of the best business type advice I gained from him. So don't write off people that are outside of the green industry. I think that at the end of the day, running a business, growing a business, there's some pieces that are all the same, and people from other industries sometimes are going to bring a different perspective that to something that maybe we overlook in the green industry. So broaden your horizons. If you're having a hard time finding a landscape or a lawn care company to give you advice, maybe there's another business out there, a contractor, someone that runs manufacturing or something like that will lend their wise words to you.
That's great. That's very helpful. Very, very helpful. How about you, Dylan? Anything to add to that?
My thing would just be to not be afraid to reach out to folks. I know I kind of hit on it earlier, but really just don't be afraid to reach out. And Nick kind of hit on it a little bit, where if someone is doing, if you reach out to someone and and you see they're successful at what they're doing, they're going to get more joy probably out of telling you, like helping you out and giving you advice, because that's kind of like reflecting back to them of like, oh my gosh, I was there and now I'm giving advice to where I was whatever years ago, and they are going to get some fulfillment out of that. I mean, even on someone of like say my level. When someone that's just starting out or was in the position I was of working full time running a business, and they're asking me tips on or questions about what to do. Just looking back on like, oh my gosh, I remember when I literally had 3 accounts to my name and 2 of them were family. And that's all I had. And I was just picking up some side money to cover a mower payment. Like to see where I progressed now, it's all just don't be afraid to reach out. Whether it's here on Echo Means Business, it's full of professionals that are looking to help you. You can find your folks on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. But don't be afraid to reach out, because everyone's always willing to give a lending hand and hopefully steer you in the right direction. So just peel back those layers, open up, be vulnerable. I mean, I've had multiple conversations over dinner or breakfast with Mike Bedell. And, I don't know if he really gets to enjoy his food because I'm picking his brain, but I mean, he enjoys, it looked like he was enjoying our conversations and talking about it. I mean, especially when you get him talking about, numbers and everything, it's just like, then you can kind of get him to shut up, but really, just reach out, be vulnerable, and good things will come from it, because if you're not open and honest, there's probably some little things that, man, if you would just let them know, like, what position you're in with something or how you're feeling about something, it could be those things that you don't want to mention, but if you did, they could probably change everything going down the line. So.
Yeah, 100%, Dylan. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed our time hanging out. And this whole talk has made me think of a time that you actually were super vulnerable and open at Brian Fullerton's event, where you kind of poured your heart out to everyone. And I think that was a really great learning lesson for everyone that was in the room, because we all got to see that, like, hey, when someone's vulnerable, like, this whole army builds behind them. Like, not only just people that were on that stage, but everybody in the room all of a sudden was on Team Dulin. Like, I'm sure that you don't even realize how many people are kind of checking in and following along, because they're now invested in your journey. Like, you just went from one guy in the room to all of a sudden, like, this guy who is also really open, and we all feel like now we have a stake in your success. So I think that's huge. It's great to humble yourself with the right people, and it's certainly something that you guys should feel free to do over at the forums on Echo Means Business. If you screwed something up, or you feel stuck, or you have a question, tap into the whole community, and then if someone reaches out and has some extra insight, follow up further. That relationship could be the beginning of something great, and develop into something like I have with Dylan or Mike or Nick, where we all have each other's phone numbers and chat. And if I really needed something, I know any of these guys are a phone call away. So this is great. This is great. You guys have done an awesome job. This is so much helpful information. Real quick, I'll just have each of you guys share, kind of hand off one another, just where people can connect with you outside of echomeansbusiness.com. That way, in case people have some additional questions or want to chat a little bit further, maybe like on Instagram or YouTube or something.
You can reach out to me at Solo Cuts Landscaping. There, it's tagged on my name. Find me on Instagram and YouTube. And also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I am part of the Echo Means Business. I'm a UAG professional. So you can also reach out to me there. But the main two I would say that I'm directly going to get on would be the Instagram, and check out our YouTube channel. So that's where you can find me at Solo Cuts Landscaping.
Not sure if you cut off there, Mike, but you can connect with me at Glendale Landscapes, Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. So we'll see how TikTok goes. Started off as a joke, trying to get more followers than my kids, and so far I'm winning. So, so as long as that game goes on and I have more viewers than my kids, then I'll stay on TikTok. But then maybe I might
go Team Dad. Go Team Dad.
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So do we actually get to see you dance on TikTok? Because that's what I think.
No, it's merely heavy equipment. That's it. Yeah, maybe some plants. I'm not even in it. So it's just to prove my 12-year-old that I can get more views than he can. So
that's awesome. How about you, Nick?
You guys can connect. I run all the social media for Mulchmate. So at Mulchmate USA on Instagram, Facebook. I think it's just Mulchmate. Typically, I do most of my messaging either through Instagram or Facebook. My personal Instagram is BigNick0909. Some guys have been following me over there. But you can always reach out. My personal email or my business email is nick@mulchmateusa.com. I have people probably reach out probably 4 or 5 a day, and I have no problem sitting down and having a quick chat with them. So it's been a pleasure being on here with you guys. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh no, the pleasure is all ours. All of you guys have really, this has been absolutely amazing. You guys all provided some really great insight. So I want to thank everyone for watching live, and anybody who's watching the playback, thanks for joining us. And quick reminder that the live broadcast does happen every second Thursday, and that you have access to all past events when you log into your free Echo Means Business account, either on the website or the mobile app. So the EMB community is a leading brand neutral community where pros connect to grow their businesses, build connections, and even work with mentors like the people on this call tonight. So stay tuned. In a couple of weeks, we've got Work Less, Make More Green. I know that sounds real good to me. I don't know. I'm sure it sounds good to the rest of the people on this call too, right? Make it more green. Oh, yeah, that sounds good to me. So you guys can find me and the others on the chat in this app or on the handles that they've shared with you guys here on this stream. And we're always happy to keep the conversation going. So thanks for tuning in. Great job, everybody. Everyone stay safe, take care of each other, and have a great one. Take care, everybody.